I don't usually like sharing things more than once, but I feel like it's appropriate to start with the poem that I gave you last week. The rabbis advise, keep two truths in your pocket. One should read, I am but dust and ashes, and the other should read, the entire world was created for me. An 8-year-old has something else in his pocket, confetti. Why? It's his emergency confetti, he says. During these raw days, he carries it with him everywhere, just in case there is good news. Well, we passed out the confetti last week, and I hope you were like me and let it fly, because this was a week in which we heard news that lifted our spirits, freeing us after 2 years. As many in Israel said, finally, October 8th has arrived. We finally are past that moment that has been gripping us, holding us, constricting us for so long. This was a week of joy, even amid the painful news that too many of those who were killed in captivity are still being withheld. So I hope, like me, you maybe held back a little bit of the confetti so you can celebrate again when they're released. But the poetic timing of the hostages coming home moves us deeply. Exactly 2 years ago, the world went upside down on Simchat Torah. And then on the Jewish calendar, on the same holiday, we witnessed the return of the living hostages. Simchat Torah of all the holidays is one that reminds us of the cycle that we live in when we complete our annual Torah reading and then start it back up again. Several of you were here as we unrolled our scroll around the sanctuary and saw all of our story open before our eyes, reading from the end and then from the beginning. The last word of Torah is Yisrael, and then we immediately follow it with Bereshit, beginning yet again the story of creation. Many link the last and first letters together, the Lamed and the Bet, forming the word Lev, which means heart. For Torah, our story that goes from creation through covenant, oppression, and redemption, truly rests at the heart of who we are. For the last 2 years, though, the plight of the hostages has been at the heart of what it has meant to be a Jew in the modern world. We felt it when we walked past the posters, whether they were here in our building or in other places. We saw images of the clock ticking away in Hostage Square in Tel Aviv. The crowds gathered as the moments kept going, never seeming to end. The rallies that were taking place from all those who wanted the world to know that our brothers and sisters were still being held. We won't forget them. Many wore their dog tags and yellow bracelets. Some have removed them, others hold on to the last come home. We also know a chill would come over us when we'd read stories of posters being ripped down or vandalized in cities or on campuses, feeling like they were attacking our literal brothers and sisters before our eyes. In so many ways, these last 2 years revealed the centrality of that last word that we read in Torah, Yisrael. For all who would deny Israel's right to exist, who would question the meaning or value of Israel or Zionism to Jewish identity, it's right there. Torah makes it clear. Who are we? Yisrael. That is the last word in Torah, and it is what we are. We are Am Yisrael. We're connected to the land. We are the people. It is right there in our sacred text, and we begin again with that woven into our identity as Am Yisrael, inextricably linked by our shared journey. A story that we know becoming Israel provides our strength and hope in the darkest hours, kindling the spark we need and the hope that we will overcome, giving us reassurance when we need it that whatever suffering we might feel as a people, it too shall pass. There will be a better tomorrow. Something else to take note of. is the sacred ritual we perform between the end and the beginning of Torah. For there is a bridge. There's a ritual that when you finish the end of a book of Torah, you end with 3 words that aren't written on the scroll, but they are inscribed in our hearts. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazak. Be strong, and let us be strengthened. It's the bridge that takes us from one book to the next, whatever the books may be. And when we think about those words and what these last 2 years have been, we realize that we stayed strong through the pain of a war that began with such tragedy on October 7th, claiming 1,200 lives and many more who would die in combat, fighting to bring home the captives and end the threat of terror. We remain strong as the hostages suffered, carrying their pain as our own, never resting, never forgetting. From the iconic empty table at Shabbat that we had on our screen for so long, to the bracelets, posters, and prayers, they were always in our hearts. And now we feel strengthened by this new era of peace, by the return of the living hostages, and by the plan to disarm those who threaten Israel's very existence. It is a new time, just as we renew ourselves with Torah, and it's important for us to celebrate it. So in addition to chazak, chazak, v'nit chazak, we should be offering the blessing that so many of the hostages and their families said the minute that they saw each other. The words that are familiar to us, that we sing every week, but for them it was just reaching that moment. Shehechianu. So let's sing it now as a celebration of reaching this moment after the last 2 years of trauma.
Shehechianu vekimanu vehigianu lasman haseh. Oh, 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 amen.
Feels good to sing in this moment, to have that moment of celebration together. And yet we know it's also a time to see the world anew. Like the poem that we shared with you this week via email by Hannah Yerushalmu. Yellow again. Empty chairs will be saved for friends arriving late, and tape will be tape again. And hostage necklaces will be put away, forgotten in drawers, and Saturday night will be date night once again. Signs for the missing will be for dogs and cats, may they come home soon. And city squares will be filled with grandparents pushing strollers and lovers dreaming of futures walking hand in hand. Tears will be for mourning or joy, but not again for anguish, and monsters will go back to hiding in closets or under the bed. And when the dusk settles over the land, parents will know exactly where their children are. And yellow will be yellow again, the color of fragrant etrogs and speckled autumn leaves, and crown-tipped spring daffodils, and rubber ducks, and sprinkles on a cake, and oh yes, the color of a hopeful rising sun. A new day has finally dawned for us. Our life renews just as Torah begins again. And like we're reading Torah over again, even though we start back at the beginning, we don't start by forgetting what happened before. We remain mindful of all that has taken place, and we are conscious of the work left to do. So let us build now. Let us not stay passive in this moment and just let the joy wash over us and move on. But rather, let us take from this moment and do something valuable. Let us take the opportunity first and foremost to thank all those who have been standing by Israel, our friends, our family, and our civic leaders. If you have someone in your neighborhood with a Stand with Israel sign, or someone who's asked about the hostages, or just checked in on you at any time in the last 2 years, mindful of what you might be experiencing, Thank them. Don't take that concern and care for granted. Appreciate the gift of having those who actually are worried about our well-being and understand what it means. Write notes of appreciation to those elected officials who you have heard speak up or who have shown up at our community meetings. Reach out to those you might not know. If you've been at an event and you've seen ministers from other faiths, if you've had people you know who have come to programs talking about Israel in the last 2 years, thank them. Let them know that we appreciate them standing with us in an hour of need, a time when it wasn't always easy, and when many turned a blind eye to what we were feeling. Be a voice from this moment for going forward. Support the efforts that are being made to make the possibility of peace a reality. Don't stay silent when you see those who want to turn a blind eye to what's happening, even right now in Gaza on the streets, to the atrocities that Hamas is committing. It's too easy to dismiss it as saying, Gaza's not our problem anymore. It is our problem. Ignoring it is how we wound up in this predicament. We have to hold them accountable for their inhumanity and not let others paint this picture of them as gentle revolutionaries. Show them for who they are and let the world see them for who they are. And while we're doing so, we have to remember those who still await closure, the families that have not yet had a chance to say farewell and to bury their loved ones. Though the living hostages have returned, others are still there. Until every last one is home, we cannot forget them. That is our obligation to them, our debt to them. We cannot grant victory to our enemies by letting this go by. And finally, friends, on a day that the Israelis refer to as October 8th, a time when suddenly the sun can shine again, appreciate the light that we have. Be grateful for the blessings that you experience. And look at that sun as a reminder always that there are better days, that there is hope, and just maybe this is the time we've been waiting for. Let us carry that hope for a better tomorrow with us. Let us keep that confetti in our pockets so when more rays of joy, more miracles happen, we'll be there to celebrate them. One at a time. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be God's will that the confetti will continue to fly. And let us say, Amen.